Okay, I am going to show you how to make the snowman out of my book. And you will need a 24 peg loom. Any 24 peg loom will work. Okay. In the book, I have the head and the body separate. So what I'm probably going to do is start on the body. And then I will, instead of doing the head separate, we'll attach the head, we'll work the head. Okay, so we're going to start on the body. And this works for the same for anyone that when the head is done in a normal direction, it's, what have I got going on here? The head's going in the same direction as the body, then you can do this. I think I did this with the penguin. Okay, see if I can get this situated. Sometimes it's weird on me. Okay, alrighty. So what it says to do is Drawstring Cast On at 24 pegs. I am using my 24 peg 3/8 inch gauge loom. Okay, so I'm going to Drawstring Cast On. Okay, now what it says to do is to knit rows 1 through 6. And so what that means is just going to be knitting round and round for 6 rows. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video and knit for 6 rows. And then we will get started on row 7. Pause the video and get that much done. Okay, I've completed my 6 rows and I am now working row 7, and it says we'll be working a leg on this row. Now, when I show you how to do the leg, you will come back to this spot in the video every time, okay? Alright, so what it says to do is to knit 1. Alright. Then you're going to knit a leg, which is going to take up the next 5 stitches. Okay. So, what that means, let's get this specified. What that means is you're going to be working over the next 5 pegs for 22 rows, and you're going to bring the original loops back on pegs 1 and 5. So when you know you're going to do that, go ahead on peg 1 and 5 of the leg. So here's 1, and you're going to count that one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you're going to be bringing these loops back to close it off. Alright, now here is an option for you. What you can do is you can just knit for 22 rows, where you knit the last stitch, slip the first stitch. You have an easy chain to follow. But if you don't want to have to sew anything up, I'm going to show you how to do this, okay? So this is a seamless snowman, and also keep in mind you can use this pattern as a simple doll pattern, so you can add anything to it, okay? So what you want to do is you want to knit 5. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to slip it and put a stitch marker there. Okay, now if you're going to do it the method that I'm going to show, which makes it seamless, you're going to do 11 rows, adding the stitch markers. If you're not going to do this seamless method and you want to sew up your legs, 22 rows. So you'll come back after doing 22 rows, but my suggestion is still to slip. You just don't have to stitch marker it. Okay, then I'm going to knit my way over. And then I'm going to slip and put a stitch marker in that slip. You're working over just these 5 pegs for the leg. This is row 2 that we've just completed. And here is row 3. Now I'm going to explain something so you have an easier time. When you toss that loop over, you're going to send that working yarn up under that stitch marker. What that allows you is more room to pull the stitch back up. Okay, so you're going to send that into that slip stitch. That's row 3, and this is row 4. Send a stitch marker through the end stitch. So, if you're doing this method, go ahead and pause the video and complete your 11 rows. If you're doing the other method, go ahead and complete your 22 rows. And when I do the bring the original loops back, that's where you chime back in. Okay, so what we are doing next is now we should have finished over here. So what you want to do is you want to find your closest stitch marker, which is right here, to this peg, okay? As you can see, that's the closest one to the peg. Okay. You're going to pull that back on. Okay. So you're going to pull that back on, and then you're going to flip and knit over, and then knit the 2 stitches together. Okay. Then you're going to pull back the next closest stitch marker over here to the peg. And then you're going to knit your way over. And knit the 2 stitches together. Alright, and then you're going to pull up that next stitch. You're just going to continue this. It's the next closest stitch to the peg is what you're after. Alright. Knit your way over. Knit the 2 together. You can repeat this until you don't have any more stitch markers on there until the last 2. So your last 2 stitch markers is where you're going to come back, and what those are is your original loops. Okay. So go ahead and pause the video and continue this process until you're down to the last 2 stitch markers, okay? And if you guys who have been doing the 22 rows without the stitch markers, when you get back to your, when you come back, I'll show you how to do bring the original loops back on page 1 and 5, okay? Okay, so what I've done is I had to take out my extra one because I'm ready to bring the original loops back. Make sure your working yarn's on the other side of the peg. So what you want to do is you want to pull those original loops back just like that onto the pegs. Okay. And then from here it says to knit two together. So you're going to knit two together, knit three, 1, 2, 3, knit two together, 1, 2. You have now completed your leg, as you can see here. See? There's your leg. Okay, so what you want to do next, it says to knit 12. So you're going to knit 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. And the next 5 stitches you will repeat exactly what we just did. Put your stitch marker on pegs on stitch 1 and 5. And that's the original stitches you bring back up at the end of the leg. You will do 22 rows. You'll bring the original loops back up. If you're doing the seamed version, if you're doing this version, which is seamless, then you do what we just did over here. Once you complete your leg, then you will simply knit 1 to finish row 7. At this point, you'll be doing the chunk of the body, which is where you're knitting round and round, for rows 8 through 23. That's 15 rows. So you're going to knit for 15 rows, okay? And so finish your leg, knit 1, then knit for 15 rows, and then repeat the leg row, row 7. So you're going to repeat this row, all right? Then you're going to knit rows 25 through 28, and that's 3 rows, okay? So go ahead and pause the video. It's pretty self-explanatory. I've shown you the hard parts. Finish your leg, knit 1. This is row 7. Then you're going to knit round and round for 15 rows. Then you're going to repeat row 7 on row 24, where you do another leg, knit 12, another leg, knit 1. Then you're going to knit for 3 rounds. You're going to pause the video and do all this, and when we come back, we'll be ready to set up to do the head, okay? So pause the video and get that much done. Okay, now I have come back and finished all the rows. I finished rows 25 through 28, which is 3 rows. So you can see your 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and your 3 rows. Now, it says to do a prep decrease and drawstring bind off, but I'm going to connect the head because the head is done in a vertical manner. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so I've got me an extra strand right here. All right, this is going to be your drawstring here. All right, so we're not going to drawstring cast off, we're just going to get us a drawstring in. And then we're going to continue on with our head. Alright, so all you want to do is send the string through and pull through all the way on all of them. Okay. Okay. Send through. All the way around. Now pause the video and get that much done. Okay, so here's our working yarn and here's our drawstring. It's our literal drawstring. Okay, so what you can do, you can try to go up in here and get the string, okay, and pull it through so it's out of your way. I'm not saying that's always easy. Okay, so it's out of your way, you pulled it through. You don't have to, it just, I find it makes it easier to do that. Okay, so now we're going to go to the head, which is on a separate area. And it says to draw string, cast on 24, and then knit for 15 rows. So we don't have to do a drawstring cast on, because we have our drawstring right here to separate the body and the head. So at this point, you just want to knit for 15 rows. Okay, and this will be your head. So go ahead and pause the video and knit for 15 rows. And then we'll come back and finish up the head. And then we'll be able to start on all the little accessories for the snowman. Okay, I have finished my 15 rows, as you can see, and here's my little arms. Alright, so what it says to do is to do a prep decrease. And what that means is you're going to knit pegs 1 and 2. Take stitch 2, back to peg 1, toss the bottom loop over, and move over 1. Knit the next 2, 1, 2. Take that back 1, toss the bottom loop over, and take it over. Okay, you're going to do this all the way around. You knit the next 2. You should have half the stitches when you're done, because our next step will be to draw string bind off. Okay, so pause the video and get your prep decrease done, and then when we come back we'll be ready to draw string bind off. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is to draw string bind off. So you're just going to go in and toss the bottom loop over and pull through. So at this point you're just going to draw string bind off, and then you should be ready to kind of start closing things off and putting your snowman's body together. And then I will show you how to do the scarf and the hat. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Your little snowman. Alright. So you want to close off the bottom. And if you did the other way, you will have to go back and sew up your legs. And you can see I don't have to sew my legs up, they're done. But I do want to show you the star method. Okay. And how to close this up. Alright. So as you can see, it doesn't quite close it up enough. So what you want to do is you want to take the needle and go up to the top. Send the needle through. Come back down like you're drawing a star. And pull it through. Okay, then you're going to come over here. Send it through. Pull it. Come back over here just like you're drawing a star. And then finish it up by taking it back down just a little off center. And then pull. And you see you have closed it off. And that is the star closure. Then what you'll do is send the needle through the middle. Okay. Make sure that doesn't happen where you catch a leg. And pull that through. Then you're going to send that through and then tie it off. Okay. You don't need to snip anything. I usually just keep everything as is. The more stuffing options you have, the better. Okay. So go ahead and push that through. Alright, at this point, I would suggest you stuff your limbs first. Don't stuff too much. Then stuff your body. Then you can drawstring the head. When you get your body stuffed, then you stuff your head, and then you drawstring the top and close it off. Okay? If you're going to add eyes, go ahead and add the safety eyes now, and you'll want to line those up most likely with the inner side of the legs, okay? If not with the inside of the legs right here, okay? So go ahead and pause the video and finish up your snowman, okay? So stuff the limbs and then stuff the body and then drawstring this and tie it off. And then stuff the head and drawstring off, okay? And you should have your little snowman body done. Alright, so what I'll show you next is how to make the hat. Okay, so we are to the hat of the snowman. And you just find whatever color you want. I'm going to use some scrap yarn myself. Because this is so small. And what you're going to do is you're going to E-wrap cast on 24 pecks. There you go. You're just going to E-wrap cast on. And push that down. Okay, now when I say to E-wrap, you E-wrap so that it'll fit over the head, and that way it will fit right. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to E-wrap 20 rows. Oh, wait a second, no, it says to E-wrap 19 rows. 19, 20, one row isn't going to make one big difference. So go ahead and E-wrap 19 to 20 rows, and then when we come back, we'll be ready to finish up the hat, okay? So go ahead and pause the video and complete your 20 rows, and then we should be ready to finish up the hat. Okay, I've completed my 19, 20 rows, alright. What I need to do now is it says to bring your cast on loops back. And if you've done a hemmed brim, this is pretty easy. So what you want to do is you want to find your tail. And then you want to go in and start adding the cast on loops back. Okay, now what you want to do is use, it says to E-wrap a row. And what that means is you're going to knit both the two together. So you're going to knit those two together all the way around. Okay, then it says to decrease by every other peg, which is a prep decrease with a drawstring bind off. So, get that second one, take it back, toss bottom loop over, move it over one, knit the next two, take it back one, toss the bottom loop over, move it over one. Just like we did with the head, you're going to do this all the way around, okay? So go ahead and pause the video and complete your prep decrease, cut a tail and drawstring bind off, and when we come back, we should be ready to start our scarf, okay? So pause the video, finish the prep decrease. It's just like we did with the head, okay? So finish that, then drawstring bind off. Then we'll come back and start the scarf. Okay, so here's what we have so far. Here's my hat on the Snowman. I haven't cut this because I think I might want to cinch some eyes in here. Right, so that's why I haven't done that. But this is what you should have so far. So here's your little hat. Then we're going to make a scarf, okay? And then I would suggest having your hot glue gun ready, or you can do black buttons, but I like to do the rhinestones. You want 2 eyes and 2 ones for the little buttons, okay? So let's start on our scarf, which is pretty self-explanatory. We're almost done. It says to cast on 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're doing a sort of I-cord here. Okay. Okay. So then what we're going to do is it says it's going to just knit for 50 rows. You're going to knit back and forth for 50 rows. So here's row 1. or just until it's long enough, the length that you'd like it to go around the neck, okay? And go back, alright? So nothing special here, you're just going to go in and knit for 50 rows or however long you want your scarf to be. It's a personal choice, okay? So pause the video, get that much done, and then when we come back, we will finish up our snowman with the scarf, and you'll want to make a little pom-pom for the hat. That's up to you how you want to do that. But you want to make a little pom-pom for the top of your hat if you want. I'm probably going to make mine out of the white that I'm using for the snowman, okay? And then we will be gluing everything together, okay? Let's go ahead and pause the video, get that much done, and then when we come back, we'll be ready to finish up. Okay, I've done my 50 rows. As you can see, that's probably about 5 inches. And what I'm going to do is just bind off, and so that's pretty self-explanatory. Knit the next stitch, take it back one, toss the bottom loop over, move it over one, and then knit the next one, take it back one, toss the bottom loop over. You'll need to weave your ends in on your scarf, and next you'll need to get your hot glue gun ready, because we're going to want to more permanently attach these things. I mean, you don't have to, but we definitely want to attach our buttons, and we want to attach our eyes, okay? So go ahead and pause the video, finish up weaving in your ends, and when we come back, we'll be ready to glue in and finish up. Okay, so I have added my pom-pom to my hat. I've closed off my ends. I've gotten my rhinestones, okay? And now what I'm ready to do is I've sent this through the top of the hat to the back of the head. So what I want to do is I want to send it up in the proximity of where I want my eye to be. Let me pull this up so you can see it. Okay. So you don't want your eyes too high because your hat's going to be on the head, okay? And if you want to try and do this with the hat on the head, it might be easier. All right, so I think I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go back in and back to the back. All right. When I do this, I'm going to pull it tight. All right, and you'll see that it cinches the area in. Now, I'm going to go in, and I can see I followed that, so I'm going to take and pull it up through here. Okay, so I'm going to send the needle back up through the back of the head, try to find my area that I want. Okay. Okay, so we're going to send it up through here, and we're going to send it back through. Okay. And we're going to pull it tight, all right? All right, so we're going to pull it tight. Okay, so now you've created 2 indented areas here. And then you can take your rhinestones and you can glue them in, and they'll set in a little bit better. Okay, so you're going to hot glue those in. And then you're going to hot glue the 2 things through here. Okay, and then it's up to you if you want to glue your scarf into place. I like to glue mine into place. Okay, and adding the hat, and I like to glue it into place. So that is how you go in and you finish up your snowman. Okay, so you'll hot glue those in, and you will glue these in, and then you are done. Okay, that is how you make a snowman.